Ayan. So, good morning mga kasama. Happy Saturday. Today is October 5, 2024. We are celebrating World Teachers Day. So, happy Teachers Day po sa ating mga kagaruhan. Magandang umaga po. Welcome to another Kasama webinar brought to you by the Kasama Teachers Community. Ako po si Alfred, ang inyo pong magiging tagapagdaloy ngayong umaga. So, welcome mga kasama. Kindly tell us your name, school, and location. So, magbigay lang tayo ng shout-outs sa ating mga kasama. So, good morning, watching from Tayog National High School, Pangasinan. Hello, Sir Noli Esmeña. Happy Teacher's Day. Ayan, good morning din sa aking kapitbahay na nagpupukpuk dito. Sana naririnig nyo pa rin ako despite the ingay. So, good morning from LNAS Sikihor, Miss Nancy May Bation Omandam. Magandang umaga po. Ayan, good morning din po kay Ma'am Belen B. Bangkaya. Ma'am, taga saan po kayo at ano po ang school niyo para mabigyan natin ng shout out? Hello rin po kay Sir Jobs Murias. Good day everyone. Sir, taga saan din po kayo at ano ang school ninyo? Hello naman po kay Christine Raymond watching from Olongapo City. Hello po, magandang umaga and happy Teacher's Day. Ayan, si Jobs Murias ay mula sa SDO Antique. Magandang umaga, sir, at sa mga taga-Antique. Hello rin po. Good morning kay Amera Alibaser. Taga saan po kayo at ano po ang eskwelahan ninyo? Ma'am Amera. Yan, hello din po. Happy Teacher's Day po sa lahat, Ma'am Aloy. Hello, Ma'am Aloy. Si Ma'am Aloy po ay taga Nueva Vizcaya. Magandang umaga po. Hello rin po, magandang umaga kay Ma'am Lovelyn Chua mula sa National Capital Region. Magandang umaga po. Good morning din sa aso. Tumatahol sa kapitbahay namin. Hello, good morning po. Watching from Tayog National High School din. Ng Pangasinan. Guinevere. Sana tama ang aking pagkakabanggit, no? Guinevere Alexa Lopez. Magandang umaga. Hello rin po. Mula sa same school. Mukhang nagpa-attendance si ma'am or sir, no? Para sa extra points. Hello po kay Miss Alicia Kim Tabag mula sa Tayog National High School, Pangasinan din. Good morning. And good morning kay Ma'am Christine Pascual. Ma'am, taga saan kayo at ano po ang inyong eskwelahan? Hello rin po kay Miss Joanne de la Cruz mula sa SDO Cotabato. Ayan, taga dyan yung tatay ko. Hello. Hello po, watching from Negros Oriental Division, Seattle National High School, Ma'am Joanna Mira Tubuhan. Good morning and happy Teacher's Day. Ayan, hello rin po. Good morning from Tayog National High School. Nako, best in attendance yata itong Tayog National High School. Hello kay Kayla Marie Paraguas. Magandang umaga. Ayan, good morning. Watching from DDSNHS, Velasco Dotimas, Sir Jason Velasco. Hello po, magandang umaga. And last na siguro, no, dahil 10 o'clock na. Hello from Solano High School. I think Nueva Vizcaya ito, no? Ma'am Irene Galima Lorenzo. Magandang umaga po. So ayan, alas 10 na mga kasama. Magandang araw. Welcome to the session, Changing Climate Change from the Space Perspective. Kung kayo po ay isang science or math teacher, iniimbitahan po namin kayo na mag-sign up sa ating bagong website. So ako po si Alfred Peleño ng High School Earth Science Group ng UP NISMED. Ang inyo pong magiging host sa webinar natin ngayong umaga. And again, welcome to the session, Changing Climate Change from the Space Perspective. Kung kayo po ay isang teacher ng science or mathematics, I think nabanggit ko na yun kanina, no? Hindi ko nabasa. But again, welcome. Iniimbitahan po namin kayo na mag-sign up sa ating bagong website. So, umpisahan na po natin ang ating webinar ngayong umaga. Welcome once again to Kasama Teachers Community. Ang salitang kasama ay hango sa combination ng mga salitang ka-science at ka-mathematics. Ang Kasama Teachers ay isang professional community para sa ating mga Filipino K-12 science teachers or science and mathematics teachers. Ang Kasama Teachers po ay pinangungunahan ng University of the Philippines National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education and Development o UP NISMED. Panoorin po natin ang video na ito para sa isang maikling pagpapakilala sa Kasama Teachers Community.
Today, we are witnessing the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn.
Teaching science and mathematics through storytelling.
Teacher time out.
Feeling the mental health impact of the pandemic.
Building water rockets. A narrative from the Tubata.
This is Tubatahari Natural Park.
Science and mathematics as toy. Second part, which is pick up and release the stick at the same time, letting them fall.
Ayan. Yes, sign up now, no? Madali lang po ang pagsali, mga kasama. Just go to the website kasamateachersph.ning.com na nakikita ninyo ngayon sa inyong screen at mag-sign up. Libre po ang pag-sign up. Kaya tara na, at pakipag-online bayanihan sa Kasama Teachers community. Once you have signed up, go back to your email inbox at i-click ang verification link para makumpleto ang inyong application sa Kasama Teachers community. This is a very important step of the process of signing up. So, because your application will be reviewed by UP NISMED. So, bago ang ating webinar proper, atin pong alamin kung ano ang Kasama Teachers community at ang UP NISMED. So, the University of the Philippines National Institute for Science and Mathematics Education Development, or UP NISMED, is a research and extension unit of UP Diliman, whose mandate is to help improve science and mathematics education in the country. In 2011, the UP NISMED established Kasama Teachers community to help teachers transition during the K-12 curriculum. Through the years, UP NISMED partnered with other units of UP Diliman, as well as other schools all over the country, education leaders, and private agencies to work toward a shared vision of growing Kasama Teachers into the largest community of Filipino K-12 science and mathematics educators. By the way, isegue ko lang mga kasama, meron tayong 37 or 38,000 plus followers ng Kasama Teachers community. Palakihin pa natin to. So like and follow our Facebook page. Through its website, kasamateachersph.ting.com, Kasama Teachers community provides free quality teaching resources, a platform for sharing best practices, and professional development opportunities for K-12 science and mathematics teachers. Kasama niyo po kami mga kasama sa hangarin nating masigit pang mapaghusay ang pagtuturo at higit pang mapalalim ang pagkatuto ng ating mga mag-aaral. As we begin today's live session, we have here a few reminders. So first, share this live stream with your friends and co-teachers by posting the video on your Facebook accounts or inviting them to a watch party. Second, post your insights on your own Facebook walls or comment in the live video using the hashtag KTC Webinars 2024. Ayan, let's type that hashtag mga kasama, KTC Webinars 2024 in the comments. Third, type your questions in the comments section as well. These will be addressed during the Q&A session after the presentation. And finally, let the speaker know what you think. You may also send in reactions and comments during the live stream. So moving forward, today's webinar is titled Changing Climate from the Space Perspective. In this webinar, our resource speaker from the Philippine Space Agency, or PhilSA, will discuss the transformative impact of space technology in our ongoing battle against climate change, emphasizing the proactive role that space exploration plays in enhancing our understanding and management of the Earth's climate. She will highlight the critical role of satellites and space technology in monitoring environmental shifts and formulating strategies to mitigate the impacts of climate change. Isa na namang webinar na hitik sa bagong kaalaman ang hatid sa inyo ng Kasama Teachers Community. Kaya naman, nais po namin na magpatuloy ang ating discussion sa ating kasama website. So now, please join us in welcoming this morning's resource speaker from the Philippine Space Agency, or PhilSA. Ms. Jennifer De Maligaya, or Ms. Jen, is a graduate of BS Applied Physics from UP Los Baños and is currently taking Master of Science in Meteorology at UP Diliman, focusing on the ocean and atmosphere interaction. She worked as a researcher at the Marine Science Institute in UP Diliman with a focus on physical oceanography, and as a project officer in the Stamina for Space project that started the mission planning for the Mula satellite. Under the Earth Sciences Space Mission Studies Division, Ms. Jen is focusing on the hydrospheric studies with studies in ocean color remote sensing. She is currently the officer in charge of the division, overseeing the implementation of the satellite mission analysis, planning, product enhancement, and development, or SATMAP. I hope tama yung pagkakabanggit ko, no? SATMAP project. Also, the Pan-Asia Partnership for Geospatial Air Pollution Information Project and the Pandora Asia Network, or the PAPGAPI PAN Philippines project, both of which have been or have deliverables tackling the changing climate. So, ladies and gentlemen, mga kasama, let us all welcome Miss Jennifer De Maligaya.
Thank you very much po sa warm welcome, Sir Alfred. So, good morning everyone. Good morning to all our viewers online. Good morning to Kasama Teachers community. Happy World Teachers Day po. Thank you very much for having me in this webinar, the 100th webinar of Kasama Teachers community.
Yeah, maraming salamat Miss Jen sa pagtanggap sa aming imbitasyon. I know you're very busy, but thank you so much mula sa ating mga kasama. So, ayan, I hope you're excited about this, mga kasama, of what we will share with you today. So, wag na nating patagalin pa. Miss Jen, the floor or the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much again, Sir Alfred. So, let me share my screen. Nakikita po ba yung aking presentation online? Yan. I think okay na po. So, good morning po ulit. Good morning sa lahat po ng mga manonood natin live at sa mga kasama po sa Kasama Teachers community. So, happy World Teachers Day and at the same time, happy World Space Week po. So, thank you very much again for inviting me to give this presentation on how space technology provides insights to respond to the challenges of climate change. So my name is Jennifer De Maligaya from the Philippine Space Agency, and I'm excited to discuss a critical and timely topic, the interplay between space technology and climate change. So my presentation title is The Changing Climate from the Space Perspective. So without further ado, so let me share my outline first. So first, we'll explore understanding climate change. So in this section, we'll discuss what climate change is, its causes, and its far-reaching impacts on our planet. And we'll look at key indicators such as rising temperatures among others. This foundational understanding is crucial for appreciating the subsequent topics. And next, we'll move on the discussion of the roles of space science and technology in climate monitoring. So here we'll examine how satellite observations and remote sensing technologies provide invaluable data for tackling climate change. And then finally, we'll discuss the current climate change-related initiatives by the Philippine Space Agency. We'll explore ongoing projects and programs aimed at using space technology for climate monitoring and disaster management. So without further ado, let us first define what climate change is. So climate change is a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. So to put it simply, Climate change encompasses shifts in temperature, precipitation, wind patterns, and other elements of the climate system. These changes can occur over decades, centuries, and over millennia. But how do we know that the climate is changing? This can be supported by several evidences, some of which are the observations that global temperature is rising. The Earth's average surface temperature has risen about 1.1 degrees Celsius since the late 19th century, a trend seen in this visualization of temperature change from 1880 to 2016, as analyzed by NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. Another evidence is that the ocean is getting warmer. The ocean has absorbed much of the increased heat discussed earlier, with the top 100 meters of ocean showing warming of 0.33 degrees Celsius since 1969. It is important to note that the Earth stores 90% of the extra energy in the ocean. And also, it was observed that the global sea level is rising. Global sea level rose about 20 centimeters in the last century. The rate in the last 2 decades, however, is nearly double that of the last century and accelerating slightly every year. It is then important to understand what is causing these changes. So, climate change can be induced both naturally and by human activities. Example of natural causes are the natural cycles such as El Nino Southern Oscillation or the ENSO, where we encounter fluctuating ocean temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific, coupled with changes in the overlying atmosphere. So this is the cycle where we experience anomalously drier periods and anomalously wetter days. Another natural forcing can be volcanic eruption, where, depending on the intensity, it can change the climate locally or to some extent globally. When volcanoes erupt, they emit a mixture of gases and sulfur dioxide. Um, some of which, such as ash and sulfur dioxide, have a cooling effect because they reflect sunlight away from the earth. Others have the opposite effect, which cause warming by adding greenhouse gas effect because some volcano eruption also emits carbon dioxide. But there are also human activities that aggravate the natural change in climate. Some of these activities are the burning of fossil fuel in generating power, deforestation, consumerism, which promotes fast paced manufacturing, as well as emissions due to transportation. These activities contribute to the emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere that traps the heat in the Earth's surface. This then causes the rise in global temperature, more known as the global warming. So, based on scientific evidences, changes observed in Earth's climate since the mid 20th century are driven by human activities, which were discussed earlier, such as the fossil fuel burning, which increases heat trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere, such that this increase in temperature cannot be explained by the current trend of solar activity. So, in order to learn on how much the climate is changing and what causes such changes, what do current scientists and researchers do? So, to have a set standard in studying climate change, scientists employ the use of essential climate variables. ECVs are key indicators that describe Earth's changing climate. They are physical, chemical, or biological variable, or a group of linked variables that critically contribute to the characterization of Earth's climate, providing a picture of climate change at a global scale. So collectively, they provide the empirical evidence to support climate science and better predict future change. Example of which are atmospheric variables such as precipitation, ocean physics variables such as sea surface temperature, ocean biology such as marine habitats, and biosphere variables such as land cover, among others. So if you can observe from these examples of ECVs, the scale of observation is not local, but global, such as the measurement in sea surface temperature as shown here in the slide. As you can see, the sea surface temperature is warmer near the equator and colder near the poles. So where else can we get the best vantage point in observing this widespread phenomena, but from space, through our Earth observation satellites? Satellite observations are unique in providing global coverage and time series of consistent observation. They are our eyes from space. So in fact, with the currently identified 55 essential climate variables, approximately 60% can be addressed by satellite data. So what are the sample satellite missions that measure these ECVs? So these are just some of the common satellites that are being used in climate studies. So from the first example, we have the MODIS Aqua, which can measure the ECV's land surface temperature, vegetation cover, snow cover, and ocean color. We also have the Landsat 8, which can measure land use, land cover changes, surface temperature, and vegetation health. And last on my example is the Sentinel-3, which can measure the sea surface temperature, ocean color, and sea level. Let me cite some case studies wherein satellite data are being used for global observation of climate change. So this color-coded map shows a progression of changing global surface temperature since 1884. Dark blue indicates areas cooler than average, and dark red indicates areas warmer than average. Earth's global average temperature in 2021 tied with 2018 as the sixth warmest on record, according to independent analysis done by NASA and NOAA. So, in measuring the global temperature, some of the relevant satellite missions may be the NASA's Atmospheric Infrared Sounder or ESA's METOP and AVHRR missions. So another example is the sea ice extent. So this visualization shows the annual Arctic sea ice minimum since 1979. At the end of each summer, the sea ice cover reaches its minimum extent, leaving what is called the perennial ice cover. Based on this observation, the area of the perennial ice has been steadily decreasing since the satellite record began in 1979. Some of the relevant satellite missions on measuring this area is the NASA's Ice Cloud and Land Elevation Satellite, or the ISAT-2, or ESA's Cryosat mission. Next is the global carbon dioxide. So this time series shows global changes in the concentration of distribution of carbon dioxide since 2002. The yellow to red regions indicate higher concentrations of CO2, while blue to green areas indicate lower concentrations. One obvious feature that we see in the data is a continual increase in carbon dioxide with time, as seen in the shift in the color of the map from light yellow towards red as time progresses. So some of the relevant missions for measuring this ECV is the NASA's Aqua satellite or the Republic of Korea's GEM satellite aboard GEOCOMSAT. So how is the country utilizing this technology? So localize po natin, let's in the local context. So in this regard, please allow me to introduce the Philippine Space Agency. First, a quick background on PhilSA. So Republic Act number 11363, or the Philippine Space Act, signed into law on August 8, 2019, established the Philippine Space Policy and the PhilSA. Yes, we just turned 5 years on last August. So we celebrated our 5th year anniversary last August. So PhilSA is the central government agency in the Philippines addressing all national issues and activities in science, space, and technology applications. PhilSA is attached to the Office of the President of the Philippines, so we are directly under the Office of the President for purposes of policy and program coordination and to ensure alignment in national policies and priorities. In the Philippine Space Policy, the framework of space science and technology applications development stipulates six key development areas as shown in your slide in the lower right. So here we have the national security development, hazard management and climate studies, space research and development, space education and awareness, space industry capacity building, and the international cooperation. Hence, climate studies is very much in the purview of the agency. And with the heavy lifting to be done by this young agency comes our mission statement. So value creation is at the core of PhilSA mission. We will promote and sustain a robust Philippine space ecosystem that adds and creates value in space for and from Filipinos and for the world. So in line with our mission of value creation from space, we look at value chains. One specific instantation is the space data value chain, which we adopted from a 2019 APEC report. The chain consists of components and their nexus, which when present and interacting effectively, lead to socioeconomic benefit and value in the end. Shown here are the various components. So first is the satellite and upstream infrastructure or the building of some satellites, data and services suitably accessible, ground infrastructure for downloading and hosting those data, capacity to analyze and generate insights, impetus and resources to act, leading to socioeconomic benefit and value creation. So when we talk about the current national space program in the Philippines, we use the value chain. The guiding policy is to build commensurate strength in each block in the chain to build on current strengths, identify and fill gaps, identify priorities, and leverage private sector engagement and international cooperation. So, on the very first part of the space value chain, embedded in the Philippine space policy is the country's central goal of becoming a space-capable and spacefaring nation within the next decade. So to be a spacefaring nation, we must have sovereign capability in space. At the very least, it means having sovereign satellites, ones that you control yourselves. Being space capable means possessing industrial capabilities. So we started building Diwata 1 and Maya 1 in 2016 in Japanese universities. With Diwata 2, we started putting in more local content, such as an amateur radio and experimental attitude sensor built in a Philippines university lab. With the Stamina for Space program, we targeted more localization. The Mayas, starting from Maya 3 and 4, were built in local labs already. Diwata 3 and Maya 7 are being built, which will carry locally developed components to be tested in flight. Mula, weighing 130 kilograms, is being built by Filipino and UK engineers in an industrial setting in the UK and comes with a license to remanufacture the satellite locally. This is part of our thrust for a space industrial policy supported by a multi-tier strategic roadmap for local space manufacturing and supply chain. So we have recently published the Philippine Space, the 2023 Decadal Survey for Earth Observation of the Philippines. This decadal survey has identified gaps in the Earth observation of the Philippines and has also provided recommendation on what possible future missions the country should prioritize. So these payloads are the medium resolution optical imager, synthetic aperture radar, high resolution optical imager, and hyperspectral imaging spectrometer, which all are very relevant in studying climate change. And Mula, as one of the flagship programs of PhilSA. So please allow me to play this video of Mula for you to know more on our very first operational satellite that we are currently building.
When the Philippines began building satellites, we started small, as small as a suitcase. Yet the stakes were high and the challenges were great. After the success with 6 of these small satellites, the Philippines is ready for something bigger. In December 2020, the Philippines kicked off the Multispectral Unit for Land Assessment, or MULA satellite project, weighing around 130 kilograms. MULA will carry a true color camera that can capture higher resolution images, covering around 73,000 square kilometers of our country in one day. Data from MULA satellite will be used for addressing food security, disaster resilience, environment conservation, and protecting our national sovereignty. The Department of Science and Technology jump-started the funding of MULA. The project was jointly implemented by the DOST, Advanced Science and Technology Institute, and the University of the Philippines, Diliman, in coordination with the Philippine Space Agency, or PhilSA. 16 Filipino engineers who underwent a know-how training and transfer program in the UK are involved in building the satellite and are now part of PhilSA. The training capacitated our homegrown engineers, not just with knowledge, but the license to build more local commercial satellites in the future, leading the way for the creation of a robust and thriving space industry to support the country's space program. PhilSA will oversee the completion and launch of MULA and manage its operations. MULA in Ilocano means plant, pointing to the satellite's mission on food security. In Tagalog, it means point of origin or beginning, which symbolically signals the Philippines' foray into a new era in satellite development toward the vision of a nation bridged, uplifted, and empowered through the peaceful uses of outer space.
So thank you for watching the MULA video. So let's wait po for the new era of the satellite development.
When the
So moving
Philippines
on,
began building
moving on. So on the capacity to analyze and generate insights from data, still part of the space value chain. So in 2023 alone, 10,975 maps were produced by PhilSA and distributed to different government agencies. There were 14 capacity building engagements, reaching 829 individuals with a total of 120,872 person-hours of training in total so far. So in this part of the chain, computational muscle, Filipino expertise in remote sensing, AI, physics, statistics, economics, data sciences are all key. So we must continue to build from here. So let me highlight some of the initiatives that currently relates to the measurement of ECVs. So for marine habitat essential climate variable, PhilSA has recently launched the National Mangrove Map generated through artificial intelligence using satellite data from Sentinel-2 and ALOS-2. So you can access that map through this QR code, and it is, I believe, also available at the National Museum. So next, we also have land cover, the measurement of land cover essential climate variable. So here, PhilSA has the One Map project doing the land cover mapping. Next is the atmospheric composition essential climate variable. So here we have the PAPGA-PPAN pH, which is already mentioned by Sir Alfred earlier, which measures air quality. So it's being used for air quality monitoring since GEMS satellite measures air quality multiple times a day. Next, satellite-based drought forecasts utilizing standardized vegetation temperature ratio that relies on temperature, vegetation health, and El Nino conditions. And on the other hand, we have the actual observation through combined drought index product based on rainfall, temperature, and vegetation health. Both methods highlighted the drought months in advance, showcasing the effectiveness of satellite-based forecasting and monitoring in climate studies. And also, we have the SatMap ocean color studies. So we use some satellites like MODIS and Sentinel-2 and 3 and Landsat-8 to measure chlorophyll A and turbidity of the ocean. All these initiatives have been tagged by the Climate Change Commission through the Climate Change Expenditure Tagging. So the Climate Change Expenditure Tagging, or the CSET, is a framework that enables the government to track climate expenditures at the national and subnational levels. So as mentioned earlier, we have the MULA, the Sovereign Satellite for Agricultural Applications. We also have initiatives on mobilizing space data. So it utilizes satellite data to produce maps for disaster response and mitigation. Another is the PAPGA-PPAN, which utilizes GEM satellite for monitoring of air pollution, and the SatMap, utilizing satellite data for climate monitoring. So the agency is also doing efforts in making this data easily available to the public. I would also like to point out that we have recently launched the Space Data Dashboard during the Philippines Space Week. This has datasets for various applications, including flood impact mapping, mangrove monitoring discussed earlier, and ship traffic. These are some of our derived products through the assistance of artificial intelligence. Soon, more products will be uploaded to this dashboard to be accessed by the general public. Let me skip through the end. Sorry. And then, next. Other than these current capabilities in measuring several essential climate variables, PhilSA also actively pursues partnerships. Collaboration is key in generating the impetus and resources to act on the insights from the space-derived data and services. To this end, PhilSA was able to sign partnerships with 12 institutions in 2023. One of the agreements signed in relevance to our discussion today is the PhilSA signing in the Space for Climate Observatory Charter. So the Space for Climate Observatory is an international initiative launched in 2019 by the Centre National d'Études Spatiales, which aims, or the CINES, which aims to coordinate international efforts in making the best use of satellite data and digital technologies for climate action. Another is the National Copernicus Support Action Program, or the COPFIL, which further strengthens the space data value chain in the Philippines. Essentially, the Philippines will be hosting servers where Copernicus Sentinel data, sample of which were presented earlier from Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-3, will be more accessible and distributed across the country and the region. Under COPFIL, we will also be launching 3 pilot services, which are the ground motion monitoring, land cover and forest mapping services, and benthic habitat monitoring services, all of which, again, are part of the essential climate variables. And of course, as part of the key development areas of PhilSA, and for the interest of our dear educators in the audience, allow me to also highlight the space education and awareness activities of the agency. So let me start with the annual Space Science Camp activity, which was first launched in 2022. So during the liftoff event, students were immersed to lectures and hands-on sessions on the topics related to space science and technology applications. There is also the annual Philippines Science High School Student Immersion Program, where PhilSA technical divisions accept high school interns from the Philippine Science High School. These are also other education and outreach activities that the Philippine Space Agency is currently holding. So some of the division in space education are conducting space technology exhibits. They are sometimes visiting schools, doing exhibits, water bottle rocket activities. We also have, for the World Space Week, this build your own model satellite activity. And we also have, during the Philippine Space Week, we held the Patalasan sa Yamang Kalawakan. So these all involve high school students to be more immersed on the application of space science and technology. So in summary, to summarize my presentation, we have delved into the following topics. So we have, first, we discussed on the understanding climate change. So we explored the definition of climate change, its causes, and its impacts. It's clear that climate change poses significant challenges that affect ecosystems, communities, and economies worldwide. And then we delved into the roles of space science and technology, where we discussed how space-based technologies such as satellites, play a vital role in monitoring climate variables. These tools provide us with crucial data that help us understand our planet's changing climate and informs effective responses. And lastly, I've introduced you to the Philippine Space Agency and our initiatives. So we look at demonstrating how local efforts are contributing to global climate monitoring and disaster management strategies. These initiatives highlight the importance of utilizing space technology in our fight against climate change. So let me end my presentation with this call to action. So with this vast set of data that is available, how can we include the understanding of space-based climate monitoring into the current curriculum to enhance students' awareness of climate change and its global impact? Yun lang po. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig sa akin ngayong umaga. Thank you very much.
Ayan, maraming salamat Miss Jen sa isang napaka-comprehensive na discussion tungkol sa climate change, ano ang climate change, paano ito namo-monitor, ano yung iba't ibang SSTAs natin or Space Science Technology Applications, and ano yung role ng PhilSA sa pag-monitor ng climate change at sa pag-action towards sa mga issues kaugnay nito. So, maraming salamat Miss Jen. Marami na nang excited magtanong sa ating resource speaker ngayong umaga. No? Kaya naman, we will now proceed to our Q&A session. So, mamili na tayo ng ating mga katanungan. Ayan. So, from Ma'am Dulce Sebastian. Hello, Ma'am Dulce. So to whom do we address our request to join the space camp po? Ma'am Jen?
Hello po. So yung Space Science Camp po, I think ay by invitation. Meron po kaming usually nagkakaroon po to ng post sa Facebook. But hindi po kasi ako yung doon sa division noong Space Science Camp. But I think nagkakaroon po ito ng posting sa Facebook, but most of the time it's by invitation.
Ayan. Maraming salamat, Ma'am Jen. So sa mga interesado pong mag-join sa Space Camp, antabayanan lang po ang mga announcement mula sa PhilSA Facebook page or by invite po sa mga schools. Okay, punta na tayo sa susunod na question. Hello, from Judy Ann, student from Agusan del Sur State College of Agriculture and Technology. So, yung agriculture na banggit kanina sa minomonitor ng SSTAs. So, I would like to ask, how have satellite observations revolutionized our understanding of climate change? And what are the most critical discoveries they have enabled? Ms. Jen?
Yes po. Thank you very much. So, to answer this question, yung mga nabanggit ko po na mga essential climate variables earlier are very much relevant. So, first po yung global temperature natin and the global sea surface temperature. So, with the advent of the satellite observation, we were able to observe how the temperature is distributed throughout the globe. So if unlike kapag po meron tayong in situ observation or parang on the site lang po. So smaller po yung observation area natin. But with the satellite observation, we were able to see how the global climate, the global temperature is changing per location. And then, what are the most critical discoveries? Probably the increasing temperature is one. It's the very critical. It's actually one of the most highlighted climate variables when we see reports in climate change mitigation, like the IPCC. So the temperature is one of the critical discoveries. and on how fast the temperature is rising as compared to the previous centuries.
Yan. Thank you so much, Miss Jen. Sana po ay nasagot ang inyong katanungan, Miss Judian. I think ang inyong nickname ay Juday. So, ayan. Punta na tayo sa next question mula sa ating mga kasama. From, hindi ko sure kung Mikal or Michael. Thank you for demonstrating PhilSA's ability to leverage space technology for agricultural and climate-related applications. It's encouraging to see how our taxes are being put to good use. Yan, comment mula kay Michael. Yeah, I think I got it right, Michael. So, yan, tama naman yan. Any comment on the comment of Michael, Miss Jen?
Yes, thank you very much. Isa po ito talaga sa mission ng Philippine Space Agency. Ang i-proliferate po ang use of space, science, and technology applications para po matulungan yung ating bansa in fighting against climate-related challenges, and especially agriculture. So thank you very much for your commendation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jen, and to Sir Michael for the comment. Now from Chena May Reyes de Leon. Hello po, can I ask, how does climate change affect agricultural production? Thank you, Ms. Jen.
Yes, so some of the effects of climate change are the increasing or the decreasing amount of precipitation, which actually directly affects our agricultural production. So earlier po, meron akong pinesent yung forecast po natin ng agricultural drought. So if with the changing climate, some of the previously unaffected areas, meron na po tayo na experience na drought, and this can be forecasted through the use of space science technology. So indirectly, naapektuhan siya dahil yung atmospheric cycles natin, yung pag-ulan, yung init na nararamdaman po natin ay nakakaapekto sa health ng ating mga crops.
Ayan. Maraming salamat, Ms. Jen. So, namomonitor yung growth ng agricultural products, and through that, malalaman ng agricultural sector kung ano yung gagawin nila action. So, yun ang sagot sa iyong tanong, Ms. Chena May. Next question. Hello, Ma'am Alma from EPIS. In what ways has the space-based tech enhanced our predictive capabilities regarding climate shifts compared to terrestrial-based models? Ms. Jen.
Yes, thank you for this question. Regarding climate shifts compared to terrestrial-based models. So probably one of the examples I will share will be the drought forecasting products we have right now. So with the space-based tech, we were able to monitor larger area of the Philippines and see how much of the agricultural lands are being affected by agricultural drought with the lesser precipitation it receives, the use of the vegetation health, and the temperature that is being experienced by the crops. So I guess that's one of the major advantage of space-based technology is its wider area of observation.
Okay, maraming salamat, Ms. Jen. Punta na tayo sa next question. From John Rafael Trami Rementizo. How has the use of remote sensing technology improved climate monitoring and its effects on agriculture? Ms. Jen.
Yes. So again, related po ito dun sa previous question. So Always ang hina-highlight po namin with the use of remote sensing technology, specifically for satellite-based observation, is that as compared to in situ measurements, we were able to measure the wider area of observation, and also with the revisit time of our satellites, we were able to observe, or we are able to get data on specific locations on specific times, specific revision time. So it is very much useful in monitoring our agricultural crops.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Jen. Next question po. From, hindi ko alam kung paano i-pronounce ito. Hi po, may I ask, how can space technology be used to mitigate the effects of climate change, such as developing renewable energy sources or monitoring deforestation? Miss Jen.
Yes. Specifically for monitoring deforestation, space technology is a very good vantage point. So we actually have case studies of this. We were able to monitor mining activities on certain areas. So with the satellite technology, we can see these activities that is before very far, very hard to reach by our policy, by our what you call that, by our policymakers, or our like the DNR. So previously, kailangan papuntahan yung mga areas, but with the satellite images that we can use, we were able to measure, we were able to observe some of these illegal activities, such as deforestation.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Miss Jen. I hope na answer ang inyong question, Miss Barlisan. Yun na lang na. Next question from Miss Hannah May Leiros. Hello po, can I ask, what is the environmental impact of space activities? So interesting to, such as rocket launches and satellite deployment on the atmosphere and climate. Miss Jen.
Thank you very much. Right now, there are some impact of the space activities, like rocket launches. So one of the impacts maybe that is very relevant din sa atin sa Philippines right now, maraming advisories recently na nare-release yung Philippine Space Agency on orbital debris, on sightings of possible orbital debris. So when the rocket launches, some of its debris are falling back to the surface of the Earth. So that's one of the probably the environmental impact of space activities. So, but then again, with the possible uses of the space technology, that is very evident from the applications discussed earlier. So we just have to minimize those impacts from the space activities, which is actually currently being done by the United Nations, trying to minimize those debris and other impacts of satellite development.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Jen. So, ginagawang mas efficient yung mga
Yes.
ganong space activities para mabawasan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next from Micah Velasco Sawe. Hello, Miss Jane. Miss Jen. Today's topic is very interesting. Can I ask po, what are the challenges and limitations of using satellite data to study climate change in remote or inaccessible regions?
Yes. Thank you very much. So, me myself as a researcher doing satellite observations and remote sensing, one of the major challenge is the occurrence of clouds in our atmosphere. So with my studies, I usually use optical satellite. So with the occurrence of clouds na sa haharangan niya or nababawasan yung observation data natin dun sa area na gusto nating makita. But then again, yun, hanap lang tayo ng clear days para again ma-measure natin kung ano man yung gusto natin na ma-measure. So but with regards to remote and inaccessible regions, probably less because again with the field of view of our satellite, it can measure regardless of where the region is. But again, depending on the mission of the satellite. But yeah, it can measure anywhere based on its mission. Only the limitations are the capability, of course, of the sensor. So like what I've mentioned, if it's optical, it is being one of the challenge is the cloud occurrence because it masks out the data we are trying to observe.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Miss Jen. I-relate ko lang sa astronomy, no? Ganun din, depende sa weather. Kung
Yes.
nahaharangan ng clouds, wala ka talagang makikita. Pero kung clear yung skies, magiging maganda yung view mo. And
Yes.
ayun nga, since yung satellites, nasa space na siya, di ba? So, mas malaki yung makikita. So, kita talaga kahit inaccessible siya.
Although
Ayan,
I'll have to highlight din, sir, na meron din naman tayong mga satellite instruments na nagpa-pass through sa clouds. So in that case, siguro ang mga limitations na lang would be our capability to analyze the data, to interact with the data. That's why part of the mission of the Philippine Space Agency is to capacitate more of our researchers on the use of satellite data such as those.
Ayan. Maraming salamat, Miss Jen. Ito po, follow-up question mula kay Miss Alma regarding doon sa debris management na nabanggit kanina, no? Sige, i-highlight po natin. Yan. So since we are already geared towards space-based technologies, what role does space debris management play to ensure the sustainability of a space-based climate monitoring systems?
Yes. For the space debris management, actually the direction is to zero out this debris. So scientists and satellite developers are developing ways such that when you launch rockets, none of the debris will fall back into the surface of the Earth. Probably it will disintegrate on the atmosphere. So that's the direction for space debris management currently.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Ms. Jen. So ang aim or the goal is to zero it out.
Yes.
Para maging very sustainable talaga siya.
Yes.
And I think this is the last question from Jap Abduhan. Hello po, can I ask, how is satellite technology being integrated into precision agriculture to optimize crop production amid changing climate conditions? I think related to isang question kanina.
Yes, actually, so with precision agriculture, we are currently, well, in the Philippine Space Agency, we are not yet in the precision agriculture level, but we do have collaborations with agencies doing precision agriculture, and they are integrating the satellite data, which has wider coverage into higher resolution observations such as drones and probably airplane monitoring or airplane observations. So from there, they were able to model and make more precise agricultural observations. So I think that's the answer to the question of Mr. Jack.
Thank you so much, Miss Jen, for answering those questions. Medyo marami-rami, no? Pero mahalaga na masagot sila para mas maintindihan ng ating mga kasama kung ano yung role ng space sa pag-monitor natin ng climate change. So, ayan, may comment pala tayo mula kay, follow-up question pala. Sorry, I think pagbigyan natin, no? Last question from June BM. How does PhilSA convey valuable information from the ECVs that is observed, collected, and analyzed to those who need information the most? For instance, our farmers. So, paano nakakarating sa farmers yung nakakalat ninyong mga impormasyon? Ms. Jen.
Yes. Thank you po. So, in the part of the space value chain, siguro ito yung nandun sa part na impetus to act. So, nagkakaroon po kami ng collaboration with different agencies. So, as I flashed earlier, meron po kami collaboration with DA, so with DNR. So, in that way, so we provide the data, and then with those partnerships with the DNR and DA, they were able to bridge those data toward to our main stakeholders. So, for example, what I've shown earlier, the drought forecasting, we are distributing it to one of the divisions of the Department of Agriculture, and then they distribute it to the local farmers or the local the LGUs for them to use. And also with that data, they are also relying on where to do cloud seeding in case there are droughts. So with those partnerships, ganoon po natin na ibababa yung information from the Philippine Space Agency to our stakeholders.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Jen. So, mula sa PhilSA, pumupunta sa iba't ibang sektor ng gobyerno, papunta doon sa ating stakeholders, sa farmers. And yun nga po, gaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, comment mula kay Sir Mike, isa sa ating mga kasama. So, ayan pala, naka-flash sa ating screen. No? Based on scientific consensus, climate change is real and very much happening right now. And yet, in the age of social media, disinformation or misinformation has sown confusion among learners. So this webinar, continue ko lang, no? This webinar is a good way to situate climate discourse of academia and into the classroom setting. So any comment on that, Ms. Jen?
Yes, I do agree po. Especially yung mga ganito pong platform, kasi malawak po yung nagiging reach natin as compared to standard na room-based seminars. With the webinar, mas marami po tayong nai-inform. So even the Philippine Space Agency is employing these kinds of platform para po mas marami pa tayong ma-educate and ma-spread yung awareness especially on climate change matters.
Ayan, maraming salamat, Ms. Jen, no, sa pagsagot muli sa lahat ng questions at pagbigay ng komento sa mga comments mula sa ating mga kasama. Maraming salamat muli, Ms. Jen. Meron po ba kayong parting words para sa ating mga kasama?
Actually, same po doon sa naging comment ni Sir Mike. So always naman po for climate change, ang aking laging parting word is that climate change is real. So nandito na to. It's happening right now. And what we can do is to use whatever to harness whatever technology, whatever tools we have right now to mitigate the changes and to adapt to it. So with the space science technology applications, so nabibigyan po tayo ng tools, so gamitin po sana natin para mas maintindihan pa natin on how the climate is changing, as well as to do our own part. So we know human activity is one of the major contributor to the changing climate. So we should also do our part, other than, of course, monitoring it. We also have to do our share. to reduce the global warming.
Ayan, maraming salamat Miss Jennifer de Meligaya mula sa Philippine Space Agency sa pagbabahagi ng kanyang presentasyon tungkol sa climate change at space technologies. Maraming salamat, Miss Jen.
Thank you very much again, Sir Alfred.
Thank you po. Bye-bye po.
Bye po.
So, for graciously answering the question, I'm sure maraming bagong natutunan ang ating mga kasama, teachers, mula sa inyong presentation, Ms. Jen, at sa napakahitik nating question and answer session. So, kagaya ng ating mga teachers today, marami din akong natutunan mula sa sharing. Kaya hayaan niyo po akong magbahagi ng aking synthesis ngayon. So, kanina habang nagpe-present si Ma'am Jen, nag-screenshot ako ng kanyang presentation. So, una, ang naging outline ng ating discussion ngayong umaga, ay pinaintindi sa atin kung ano ang climate change. Pangalawa, ano ang role ng space, science, and technology in climate monitoring. At pangatlo, ano yung current climate change-related PhilSA initiatives kung saan galing si Ms. Jen. So, merong pinaintindi sa atin kung anong climate change, ano yung causes nito. Merong dalawang major classifications. Una, natural. Pangalawa, human induced or initiated. So, yun yung dalawang major causes ng climate change. So, may mga technologies, SSTAs, Space Science Technology Applications, kagaya ng satellites na ginagamit sa pagmomonitor ng mga climate factors para masabi na mayroong pagbabago sa pattern or sa trend ng ating klima. Susunod, mayroon mga may binahagi si Ms. Jen tungkol sa evolution, or yung progress ng pagmamonitor natin ng climate change dito sa ating bansa. Nagsimula siya as Philippine Microsat noong 2014 through the Diwata 1, Maya 1, and Diwata 2 satellites. And yung mga iba't ibang satellites na yon, may iba't iba rin silang mga minomonitor. And then nag-evolve into Stamina for Space 2018 through the BHL 50 and optical satellites, as well as the Maya 2, Maya 3 and 4, and Maya 5 and 6. And ito nga yung naging precursor sa pagtatag or pagbuo ng Philippine Space Agency noong 2019. I think yun yung nabanggit na taon ni Ms. Jen. And future plans ng PhilSA in relation sa mga ilo-launch na satellites, meron silang tatlo, Diwata 3, Mula, and Maya 7. So yung Diwata and Maya, continuation ng kanilang earlier iterations or versions. Tapos may bago yung Mula satellite na ilo-launch sa 2026. And ang kinaibahan nito is tinatry na i-localize yung production process nito. So dati, pumunta pa sa ibang bansa para mag-manufacture ng satellites na mga ito. And through time, through professional development ng mga researchers natin na expert sa paggawa ng satellites, nakakaya na natin maging Filipino-owned, Filipino-made ang ating mga satellites. So yun ang progress ng ating mga satellites dito sa bansa. And although nagde-develop, meron pa ring mga instrument gaps na na-identify. And of course, ito ay points for improvement para yung mga next iterations ng satellites ay mas maging better versions pa, mas mag-improve pa para sa pagmamonitor ng climate change. So yun, satellites, sila yung mainly kumukuha ng impormasyon, and yung impormasyon na ito ay pinoproseso, ina-analyze ng PhilSA at nagiging basis sa pag-solve ng iba't ibang problema natin sa bansa, sa ating society. Merong iba't ibang examples kagaya ng One Map, which is about land cover mapping. Meron ding PAP-GAPI PAN-PH tungkol sa air quality naman. Meron ding SAT-MAP or yung drought early detection. Napakahalaga ito para sa ating mga farmers, no? Kasi hindi tayo mabubuhay ng walang kanin, no? Hindi tayo mabubuhay ng walang kanin. So, kailangan natin to. And other initiatives tungkol sa space education and awareness. So, meron silang lift off noong 2022. Bahagi ang NISMED dito sa lift off PhilSA Space Camp 2022, no? Kilala niyo si Sir Ethny, madalas siyang nagiging resource speaker sa ating astronomy-related webinars. Parte po siya ng programang iyon ng PhilSA. Meron ding collaboration with Philippine Science High School, student immersion program kung saan tumatanggap din sila ng interns, no? And I hope in the future, hindi lang sa Philippine Science High School magmumula yung mga interns, no? Sana sa iba't ibang eskwelahan na rin para mas marami pang mag-benefit. And other education and outreach activities tulad ng exhibit, Space Technology Exhibit, Philippine Space Week na ating sinaselebrate ngayon mula October 4 hanggang October 10 taon-taon. Meron doon competition na build your own model satellite para ma-inspire ang ating mga kabataan na magdisenyo ng satellites na pwedeng maging inspiration ng mga future satellites na ating ila-launch. And Quiz B, patalasan sa yamang kalawakan, hatid sa inyo ng PhilSA. So to summarize, i-reiterate ko lang yung nabanggit ni Ms. Jan kanina. Climate change poses significant challenges that affect ecosystems, communities, and economies worldwide. Number 2, space-based technologies such as satellites play a vital role in monitoring climate variables. These tools provide us with crucial data that helps us understand our planet's changing climate and informs effective responses. And number 3, the current initiative of the Philippine Space Agency demonstrates how local efforts are contributing to global climate monitoring and disaster management strategies. So yun po ang synthesis ng ating webinar ngayong umaga, mga kasama. So, bilang paglalagom sa mga natutunan natin sa pagbabahagi ngayong umaga ay mag-iiwan kami ng takeaway question na nagmula sa ating resource speaker na si Ms. Jen. How can we include the understanding of space-based climate monitoring into the current curriculum to enhance students' awareness of climate change and its global impacts? Ipagpatuloy ang diskurso kasama ang iba pang mga kasama teachers. Maaari nyo pong sagutin ito sa link na nakikita sa inyong mga screen, bit.ly/KTC-climate change-awareness. Maraming salamat mga kasama sa inyong paglahok sa webinar na ito na hitik sa saya, mangha at bagong kaalaman. Mahalaga po sa amin ang inyong feedback. Gabay po namin ito sa pagpapahusay ng ating future webinar sessions. Kindly go to the link bit.ly/KTC-5OCT2024-feedback or scan the QR code to answer a quick survey. Para sa members ng Kasama Teachers Community website, makikita rin po ito sa ating website. Ipipin din po ang comment na naglalaman ng link sa live coverage video sa Kasama Facebook page. Another important announcement, mga kasama. So this November 22 to 23, 2024, UP NISMED will hold the International Conference on STEM Education or ICSTEM. Iniimbitahan po namin ang lahat ng ating kasama na lumahok sa conference na ito. This conference will feature research works in science and mathematics education under the following themes. So we have emerging technologies in STEM education, innovative STEM pedagogies, STEM education and transformative leadership, STEM education for sustainable futures, STEM curriculum reforms and policy, and assessment in STEM education. Register now using this link that you see on your screen. Meron ba? Or scan the QR code na lang, no? For more information about the submission guidelines and the registration process. So please visit the website by scanning that QR code. Or you can also email xtem24.upd@up.edu.ph. Dumalo at magpadalo po tayo mga kasama sa XTEM 2024. Also, on October 12, 2024, that's next week, that's next Saturday, we have another webinar titled Using the UP NISMED Matatag Curriculum Resources for Elementary Science. So this webinar will present lesson exemplars on the materials and living things domains of the Matatag curriculum. It will guide teachers in using these resources to enhance science teaching through science process skills and inquiry-based learning. Participants will also explore strategies for overcoming common implementation challenges and share their experiences with the Matatag or K-12 curriculum. So join us this Saturday, mga kasama, October 12, 2024, from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock for an exciting learning session led by the Elementary School Science Group of UP NISMED. Register for free at bit.ly/KTC-12OCT2024. So, for helpful and relevant learning resources, join us by signing up for free at kasamateachersph.ning.com. Kung nais niyo pong maging bahagi sa pagpapadaloy ng mga webinar o sa pagbuo ng ating online community, sabihan niyo lang po kami gamit ang ating website. On behalf of UP NISMED and Kasama Teachers Community, thank you so much for participating in our webinar this morning. Keep safe and stay healthy, mga kasama. Happy World Teachers Day and happy World Space Week. Hanggang sa susunod po nating pagkikita, iba yung pag-iingat pa rin po at manatili po tayong ligtas at payapa. Paalam!